I really enjoy the show Haikyuu because it depicts the struggles of plateauing in a plain and relatable way through the wall. By definition, a plateau is reaching a state of little or no change after a time of activity or progress. These can feel like a physical or mental struggle, a concept, technique, or ability that one can't seem to get the hang of. It's a barrier that someone must devote time to in order to break through. The wall in Haikyuu is quite literally a block that discourages the story's protagonist, Shoyo Hinata, from evolving as a player, but it also serves as a mental obstacle which prevents the story's other characters from evolving as well. The image of victory is often rooted in the desire to pursue your passion, the thrill of the game, and the joy found in succeeding. It's human nature to seek a path that leads to winning, and competition isn't an inherently bad thing for these reasons since it's the accomplishment which creates context. Hinata has a true love for volleyball, and it's a contagious passion that spreads to the show's other characters. He plays the sport because he enjoys it, and he sticks with it because he has a drive to get better. I think Melee players can relate to this show because they understand what it means to love something so much that it spreads to other aspects of your life. This passion for the game is so inviting and genuine. It gets people interested in something they may otherwise not care about, and those people get even more people involved, and so on. It doesn't matter if there's one wall or 1,000 walls standing in their path. In the same way volleyball brings an excitement to the characters of Haikyuu, Melee expresses a passion from its players that is truly unmatched. It's pretty great, and if I had to name a single person in the Melee community who epitomizes the pure, absolute, and unadulterated joy that the game brings, it would have to be this guy.
Let's go, Axe.
This is Jeffrey Williamson, but many of you probably know him as Axe. In Super Smash Bros. Melee, Axe plays Pikachu, a not-so-popular competitive character, but over the course of his competitive career, Axe has made a name for himself as the best Pikachu player in the world. Axe is about to play against Justin Hallett, but many of you probably know him as Wizrobe. He plays Captain Falcon, a more popular character than Pikachu, but one that hadn't won a major tournament since Isaiah in 2005. Until Wizrobe did, literally 2 weeks before this event.
That's it! That's it! Oh! Oh! What was that?
These two are sitting next to each other in an isolated room at a very selective invitational tournament called Smash Summit 8, including a couch full of casters and a house full of some of the best players in the world watching very intently. Oh, did I forget to mention that this is Grand Finals? This is Grand Finals, by the way. When the last official Melee tier list looked like this, you probably wouldn't think that these two sort of middle-of-the-pack characters would be facing off in Grand Finals of a very important tournament. But here they are, and they definitely have a lot to prove. I mean, with cash and pride on the line, the accomplishment of a major tournament win, and... I'm telling this story out of order. Let's start from the beginning.
My name is Jeffrey Williamson, although most people know me as Axe, and I play Pikachu in Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Jeffrey Axe Williamson was born on April 7, 1991. He was previously ranked first on the Arizona Melee Power Rankings and third on the Summer 2019 MPGR. As of the official 2019 MPGR, he only moved down a single spot to Global Rank 4, and he's largely credited for Pikachu's rise in usage and popularity. To understand a bit more about why this even matters, we should probably talk about the harsh world of character inequality in fighting games. Super Smash Bros. Melee has an interesting character composition relative to the rest of the series. In later installments like Brawl and Smash Wii U, a handful of characters dominated the meta, but Melee is unique in that the debate of which character was the best was never quite resolved. Looking at characters in a vacuum is hard, so tier lists help to define a character's quote-unquote goodness. In gaming, and commonly in competitive fighting games, tier lists would rank the playable characters based on their perceived strengths, matchups versus other characters, and ability to win in a tournament setting. The last official Melee tier list was released on December 10th, 2015, and to put it simply, it divides the cast into a few sections. Tournament playable, kinda average, and hot garbage. The tournament playable bunch were all characters deemed capable of winning, or at the very least performing well at a high-stakes event. These included the ever-popular space animals, Fox and Falco with their fast movement and technical skill ceiling, Marth with his disjointed sword and long range, Captain Falcon with his exciting and hard-hitting combos, even Jigglypuff for her incredibly strong punish game, and Pikachu.
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Pikachu!
It's Clefairy!
On 2015's tier list, Pikachu was the 9th best character, which falls into the mid-tier range. While a number of other players have shown off their skills with Pikachu in years past, Axe was at the top of the game for a character most notably recognized for, well, not being recognized in competitive play. And this was the tier list in 2015. Now, don't get me wrong, 2015 was still a great year for Melee, just like
20XX.
But the tier list might have been getting a bit dated. Way back in 2002, Pikachu saw a ranking as low as 19th. Keep in mind, Melee has maintained a competitive scene with 0 balance patches, so a lot of a character's rise through the tier list would be molded by the tournament results of players using those characters. With that being said, Pikachu is still a mid-tier, and though he might have been in the pile of tournament viable characters, many wrote the Electric Mouse off as one that could never stand at the top of the competitive scene.
Players are really discouraged of playing Pikachu because he's really difficult to win with as you get better at the game. It's just way more straightforward and easier to win with a lot of the higher tier characters up until you practice to a certain point. But it takes a long time to get there with Pikachu, I feel like, so a lot of people just don't get it. And there's so many examples of top level play with so many other characters. Pikachu is extremely underrepresented, you know? It's when people look at tournaments, top tournament play, they see top 64, top 32, top 8, whatever. They just see one Pikachu and that's it, but they see like a billion foxes, so many Mars, even a handful of ice climbers, you know, those kind of characters. That's usually what they want to pick up because it's just easier that way. You really need to learn how to fight in the game with a set of tools that you're most comfortable with, meaning a character.
A character is much more than the sum of their perceived in-game strengths, though. They are a part of a player's identity, and no player identified more with Pikachu than Axe. To beat his opponents with this character, he would need to figure out a new approach to Melee. And that all started in 2006, with a young Axe competing in his first ever high-stakes Melee tournament at his high school.
I can't imagine growing up in any other scene. There's something special about being here that really makes me feel like I'm at home and with family.
Growing up in Arizona is fucking weird.
Like most new Smash players, Axe went into his first tournament overconfident as the rest of us and got completely bodied. And like most current Smash players, that was all it took to get him hooked.
After that, I learned that there was going to be another tournament the following year after my school tournament, so I went online to look up some advanced techniques and stuff, and I found that there's tournaments everywhere. And when I found that out, I just wanted to go to them all, and I started practicing, and that's where it all started.
Axe would begin to climb to the top of his high school scene alongside Timothy Wilson, who went under the alias Vectorman. The two ended up becoming close friends, and they would eventually travel outside the local bubble to more regional events, where they would learn of big players in Arizona like Forward, Wobbles, and Taj. Their first foray into a regional event was at Arizona T5, which took place on April 14, 2007. Vectorman would do alright, getting 17th in singles, but it was Axe who made a much more standout performance with a 7th place finish, being outplaced by the aforementioned Forward and Taj, who ended up taking 1st and 2nd respectively. In doubles, he teamed with Vectorman and got a respectable 9th place. Arizona T5 was also apparently the first recorded tournament Axe had ever played in, which Axe had blithely pointed out in this Smashboards post, but 7th place at his first real tournament was a big deal. The crazy part is, that wasn't even scratching the surface of Axe's Melee talent. By the end of 2007, Axe was already the 7th best player in his home state of Arizona. Fast forward a couple years to July of 2009, and we'd be seeing Axe kick off his Melee career with a bang at Genesis, with one of the highest stakes matches he would play that year. In round 2 of Genesis, Axe already had a tough wall to climb in J-Man, who was considered one of the best players in the United States at the time. With wins over the already well-known Mango, Mewtwo King, and Chudat, as well as an entire tournament win at Apex 2009, J-Man wasn't just a tournament threat, he was easily a top 10 player in the world. An upset here would be a colossal win for Axe and Pikachu at large, as the character had not been represented all that prominently since the days of players like Cawthon Luck, a StarCraft 2 and Heroes of the Storm player who, fun fact, was also one of the first notable Pikachu mains Melee had ever seen. The other Pikachu player you might have thought of there was Anther, who Axe regards as the best Pikachu in the world before his own rise to stardom.
Anther is one that's been around for a long time. Anther was actually the best Pikachu before I came around.
That name may also sound familiar because of Anther's ladder. You see, around 2010, Anther had given up on playing Smash competitively in pursuit of a career in programming. It would be through this career path that he would develop Anther's Ladder, or Smash Ladder, around March of 2014, which was an online matchmaking and ranking site for all of the Smash games. This would ultimately become the first stepping stone for an online Melee community, where nowadays, thanks to the onset of rollback netcode in the game, virtually lagless online play is feasible. But I digress. Axe certainly knew who J-Man was, but to J-Man, Axe could have just been a random Pikachu who squeaked a couple wins off Alex19 and Everlasting Yay to get to round 2. If J-Man didn't know who Axe was, the growing crowd behind him would make sure he learned real quick. Both players go stock for stock in the first 3 minutes of the game, leaving the two at their last stock of Game 1. It was clear J-Man was inexperienced in the matchup, but it was also clear that J-Man was the better of the two players. This set would come down to a contest of J-Man's fundamentals to take stocks efficiently against Axe's tricks to take stocks quickly, and in the end, Axe somehow steals Game 1 away.
Something really good that Pikachu has that other characters aren't as good with usually is his quick kill potential, both off the sides and off the top.
Game 2 served as a wake-up call. J-Man quickly deflated Axe's confidence and reminded him that this set was far from over. The crowd watches as J-Man completely takes over with a 3-stock, evening the set 1-1 and forcing a tiebreaker. It felt like Axe had run out of tricks, and with everything on the line, the two players would queue up for their third and final game of the set. Somehow, yet again, Axe took everyone's breath away. His bag of tricks went just a little bit deeper, and it turned out to be enough to take out one of Melee's greats. Taj, a friend and mentor to Axe, ran through the crowd to congratulate Axe and lifted him high. It was a huge victory. His run would later be halted by Raistlin and Linguini, leaving him with a 33rd place finish, but Axe had already made his mark. His win over J-Man was arguably one of the biggest moments of his career so far, and it served as the first domino to the rest of Axe's life. A few months later, Axe would compete in Pat's House, a regional SoCal tournament, where he would place 9th. As 2010 began, Axe would find himself as the second best player in Arizona. At the start of the year, Axe attended Pound 4 and exited at a much more impressive 17th place, including a notable win against the soon-to-be god PPMD. In just a very short period, his high placements would catapult Axe into the Melee spotlight. Along with his improved in-state ranking, Axe's performance at Pound had people watching. It was clear that he was a very capable competitor at not only local events, but also out-of-state majors and regionals. This improvement would be put on display with a 5th place finish at Apex 2010, where Axe took impressive wins versus Rainex, Serene, Deshizwiz, and J-Man yet again. He was ultimately double eliminated by Armada, but even in one of their encounters he took the European god to the brink. Axe would find himself beating tougher and tougher competition, and by this time he had surprised a lot of people with some of these wins. And that's the thing, Axe was beating all of these top players with Pikachu, a character considered by many to be a mid to low tier at the time. After a handful of more than solid tournament placements for the year, it seemed that Axe had opened many players' eyes to Pikachu's potential in the competitive scene. He summed up his feelings on the character best in a 2016 interview with Event Hub, saying, "When the time came to play in tournament though, my Pikachu always performed the best out of them. I didn't practice him as much as some of my other characters, but he's always given me the best results even to this day. I think I just have a natural feel for the character and his mechanics." In a game that felt rigid in its pool of viable characters, Axe somehow struck a balance between picking a character he enjoys with one that gave him consistent performance.
These characters that I play for fun become some of my best characters, but none of them have been able to top my Pikachu no matter how much I play them, so I'm a Pikachu main at heart.
And his character choice wasn't just a gimmick. Even back in 2010, Axe's skill was undeniable. His opponents didn't need to prepare to play against Pikachu, they needed to prepare to play against Axe. The first domino knocked over a second, and it was only a matter of time until Axe would reach the very top of the competitive scene with his trademark character by his side.
A lot of people, as I was getting better and better, would call Pikachu a gimmick, and I'm only doing well because people don't know how to fight Pikachu. As long as I can know what my opponent's gonna do and I'm able to counter it, then it doesn't really matter what character I'm playing. With Pikachu, I feel like I control him the best, so I'm able to do this the best with Pikachu. And at the end of the day, it's not about figuring out Pikachu, it's about figuring out me as a player and why I'm hitting you and why I'm taking your stocks and when I'm going in and what I am adapting to. And it's not just, you know, Pikachu uses Skull Bash, and it's not like, how are you going to stop Skull Bash? It's not that. It's on a much deeper mental level where you have to know why you are losing to that player and not necessarily the character.
(2011 to 2013 were about the same for Axe on his come-up, but there was one event in particular which served as yet another landmark in the Pikachu player's career. He placed 4th at Pound 5 with some solid wins over Kobol, Remen, Cactuar, and Hax, but perhaps more important than that was his 3rd place finish at Zenith 2011. At Zenith, Axe would receive a massive win against one of the 5 gods of Melee in Mewtwo King. The 5 gods refers to 5 players who are the highest ranked and most skilled players on the planet. The players, Armada, Hungrybox, Mango, Mewtwo King, and PPMD, ushered in an era of competition where they won nearly every tournament where at least 2 of them were in attendance from 2008 to 2015. And aside from that completely absurd statistic, the gods rarely lost tournament sets to players outside of their own, so a player like Axe taking a set win off of even a single one was huge, and it proved that the gods could bleed. He did have a bit of a slump through some of the nationals he attended in late 2011 and early 2012, including a 17th place finish at Genesis 2 and an at the time career low 33rd at Apex 2012. The exception in the year was a 3rd place at Kings of Cali, where he bested Lucky, Fiction, SFAT, S2J, Pew Pew, and Shroomed before taking the eventual winner PPMD to a 5-game set in Losers Finals. None of these tournaments were particularly bad for him by any means, especially not Kings of Cali. Axe was still very clearly a top-level player and the only Pikachu player up there, being the highest placing Pikachu at nearly, if not every major he went to. July 12, 2013 would bring Melee back into the spotlight for good with Evolution 2013, which served as the largest Melee tournament of its time as well as a resurgence of the competitive scene. Axe would place 13th here, but just the fact that the game was even being played at this event was enough to boost Melee's numbers considerably. EVO would become one of Melee's landmark events for the next few years, and Axe got to enjoy the game's explosive rise in popularity. And that was great timing too, since the end of the year brought about new rankings, both locally and worldwide. Wobbles, who was the previous rank 1 on the Arizona Melee Power Ranking for 2013, would end up retiring and moving back to Texas, and as a result, the state would now recognize Axe as the best player in Arizona. He would remain as the state's number 1 until fall of 2019, where he became ineligible for consideration due to a lack of local attendance. In addition, the first iteration of SSBM rank would be released by Melee It On Me, aiming to compile an annual top 100 ranking for its players. It was here that Axe would be marked as the 11th best player in the world on his first ever global ranking, and even though he was now officially known as a really freaking good player, it still felt like something was missing. For the remainder of his career, Axe would never dip below top 15 in the rankings, but he couldn't quite break through some of Melee's elite. It felt like he had ran into a wall. But that all changed at MLG Anaheim 2014.
Speaking of 16-hour days, Axe from Arizona has worked his way through the open bracket. Now he's here. He's in the championship pool. He's got at least 7 games against the champions, and then into the bracket and a couple more.
Yeah, so he's definitely got a lot of work cut out for him. Oh my goodness.
You kind of stack it up. That could be it. That's it. Game 1.
Axe is one of the most technical players, one of the most creative players that Melee has ever seen.
Now he's up right now in stock count and set count against the very talented Lucky. That's going to do it. 3 stock to 1.
He's got the match percent as well.
They're not going to do it. Axe in control again. The grab to keep it coming. No way. Yeah. Get out of here. Who can stop the mouse? That's what I want to know. Oh, it's racking up here. 75%. Oh, he connects with the up smash.
1-1. AZ on his back. Just barely finds the grab.
Whoa! That's it. Game 3 goes to Arizona's Axe. Playing safe, throwing out those thunderbolts.
One miscue.
Oh my God! Oh my God! That was almost it, but it wasn't. It's a miss. Axe advances.
Placing highly at Nationals was nothing new to Axe at this point, but it took a remarkable performance at MLG Anaheim 2014 to get Axe on everyone's radar for a second time. In the open winners bracket, Axe would defeat Ken to secure a spot in the championship pools. There, he would beat Hax, Kobol, Remen, Soft, and Mewtwo King in another exciting upset before losing to Leffen and PPMD. This would seat Axe in the loser's side of the championship bracket, where he would secure himself a spot in top 8 by winning against Lucky. But none of these wins were the highlight of the event. The most surprising upset to come from Axe on the weekend was a 3-1 set victory over Hungrybox, crossing out the 3rd member of the Gods to fall to his Pikachu. Axe would end his run at 5th place, but his performance was downright outrageous, and it kinda made sense considering his tournament placements in the years prior. Right after that tournament, on July 9th, 2014, Axe was sponsored by Mortality Esports. And the sponsor came just in time, too, as the next tournament Axe would attend was about to bring Melee fans something that was just unbelievable. Kind of going on a side note, tell me what the feeling was like for the 4-stock with Silent Wolf.
Oh man. How do I even get into this?
So if you don't know about Melee, this set was Axe vs Silent Wolf at EVO 2014. But if you do know about Melee, this set was Axe vs Silent Wolf at EVO 2014. And it may very well be one of Melee's most memorable pieces of gameplay from 2014 to today. After defeating Hugs, J666, and Chudat in the winners quarterfinals pool, Axe lost to Mango 1-2 in a last stock set. He was able to make it to top 8 with a win over Plup, and his first set of losers top 8 would be against Otto Bizno, otherwise known as Silent Wolf.
So at EVO 2014, I was just extremely excited to make top 8. That's all I really wanted. Like, I made top 8 at EVO and I'm like, I can't believe this. Like, I'm in top 8 at EVO and this big screen on this huge stage. We've got like thousands of people watching. It's ridiculous. I never thought I'd be in that position. So it was just, I was just so excited. I was so excited to play. Even whether I won or lost, I was just really happy that I made it there.
At 15th on the 2014 global rankings, Silent Wolf was certainly no slouch, and this was especially true at EVO. After an early loss to Dark Reign, he would claim his own top 8 spot with a loser's run through Duck, SFAT, Shroomed, Fiction, and Leffen. But all these accomplishments aside, nothing would quite prepare him for this. Axe ended up eliminating Silent Wolf from EVO with a 2-1 set victory, including an absolutely mind-bending Game 3, a 56.51 second 4-stock, which left the crowd in complete awe. If anyone needed any more proof, this moment would cement Axe as a top-level competitor who was just as good, if not better, than anyone he sat down to play against. What was perhaps a bit less impressive about their set at EVO, though, was that it wasn't even the first time the two had faced off. They first played at a modest event back in 2012 called Northwest Manifest, which was also actually hosted by Silent Wolf himself. And it was surprisingly versus Axe, where Otto would be eliminated from his own tournament, losing 3-1 in their first ever tournament encounter. Regardless though, Game 3 of Axe vs Silent Wolf at EVO 2014 would become one of the most talked about moments of Axe's competitive history, as well as a new career high for the Pikachu player. He would exit the tournament shortly thereafter with a 1-2 loss versus Armada, leaving Axe at 5th place.
I don't know, I just made a lot of right guesses in a row, and everything just kind of worked out. It was amazing, and I wish that I could just relive that moment, because I just felt incredible. I was like, man, this is, everyone's watching this, and I just can't believe what happened. It was mind-blowing, and I still can't even believe it to this day. I just, if I could go back in time to any moment, I'd probably just go back to that day and just do that again if I could.
For the remainder of 2014, Axe would see pretty high results. 4th at Zenith 2014, 5th at Tipped Off 10, and an uncharacteristic 9th at the Big House 4, where he was upset just outside of top 8 by Kells, a Chicago Fox and Sheik player. Even after a low result, if you can even call it that, at the Big House, with the strong performances at MLG Anaheim and EVO behind him, Axe was widely considered a demigod at this point. Demigod was a title given only to a handful of players during this era of Melee, which would signify the player's ability to go toe-to-toe with any of the 5 gods. For Axe, he had already taken sets off of 3 of these gods, PPMD, known back then as Dr. PP, Hungrybox, and Mewtwo King, as well as individual games from the other 2, Mango and Armada. Basically, Axe was really freaking good, and his ranking reflected that, having now made the jump to the 7th best player in the world for 2014's SSBM rank. The next year, Axe would enter Paragon Orlando 2015, which was an Apex 2015 qualifier where he would place 7th, losing out to Mewtwo King and Leffen. Later at Apex 2015, Axe placed a somewhat disappointing 13th in singles, being double eliminated by a pair of NorCal residents, SFAT then Shroomed. Also at Apex was the Salty Suite hosted by VGBC, which was an after-hours collection of grudge matches, exhibition sets, and high-stakes gameplay. Among the list of now famous matches happening there, like Bizarro Flames IRL Ganon Up Tilt and the now famous 5-0 set between Chillindude and Leffen, Axe would participate in an EVO 2014 grudge match versus Silent Wolf. Here, Axe would win the runback for a second time, now in a best-of-5 set, 3-1. This would also be the last time the two would ever face off in an organized tournament for the rest of both of their careers, up until Silent Wolf's retirement in 2018. His stay with Mortality would be a short one, with Axe leaving the team a few months after Apex on April 9th, 2015. Just a week after leaving Mortality, Axe would attend Sandstorm, where he would place 3rd with very impressive and unexpected wins versus Leffen and Mango. However, his Sandstorm run would be cut short of 1st yet again with losses to Armada and Westballs. A couple weeks later, he would earn yet another bronze medal at Press Start, a national tournament held at UC Irvine, and notably one where none of the 5 gods in attendance made it to top 8 on winner's side. On July 2nd, 2015, Axe was picked up by Tempo Storm, giving him a breath of fresh air and a set of new clothes as he moved into EVO 2015, where he had hoped to live up to the expectations set for him in the year prior. Unfortunately, Axe's bracket didn't cooperate. He'd place only a little bit worse than in 2014 at 7th, but with a somewhat unexpected winners round 1 loss to Hugs, this performance was a bit lackluster. Near the end of 2015, Axe would get another shot at Armada in top 8 of a Norwegian tournament called Eclipse. With his previous set at Sandstorm being a disappointing 0-3 wash, Axe surprised a lot of people when he won the 1st and 3rd game in a best-of-5 set, but in their final game, on their final stock, Axe would find himself unable to go the distance. This would end up becoming the closest set the two would ever play, up until Armada's retirement in 2018, and a subsequent loss to Leffen in losers finals would leave Axe at 3rd in what was one of the largest European tournaments of all time. From 2016 to 2018, Axe would see some similar results. He'd place 4th at the 3rd installment of Genesis, which saw a bunch of cool things like the salty sweep between Abate and S2J following their glitch-influenced set at the Big House 5, as well as Mango and Armada cementing the Genesis tournament series as a symbol of their rivalry. Other events in the year didn't go too hot for Axe though. 14th at Battle of the 5 Gods, 25th at Pound 2016, 17th on his return to EVO in 2016, even a career-low 65th at the Big House 6, having been upset by up-and-comer R2D-Lu. In 2017, we'd see some solid marks on Axe's tournament record. This included a 5th place finish at Smash Summit 5, a popularized invitational series that had been ongoing since the end of 2015. But this summit in particular would become pretty famous for having the largest singles pot in all of Smash history across every Smash title, worth around $80,000. Hungrybox, who ended up winning the event, took home a whopping 29 grand that weekend. And in 2018, we'd see more of the same. Consistent 5th, 7th, and 9th placements with some outliers in either direction. 25th at Full Bloom 4, 2nd at Flatiron 3, 3rd at Get On My Level, 17th at EVO, 49th at the Mango Homecoming. The 3-year span was a period of a few great performances and a few duds, but the overall trend would stay relatively consistent. 7th place, 5th place, the occasional 4th, 3rd, or even 2nd place. These slots had become familiar to Axe over the years. And this would even be reflected in his more or less stagnant global ranking. 7th in 2014, 9th in 2015, 9th in 2016, 7th in 2017, and 10th in 2018. These certainly weren't bad placements and rankings by any means. Axe was obviously a top-level competitor and he wasn't slipping, but no one wants to settle in the back seat forever. Axe wanted to take home a win, and 2019 was looking more and more like the year he'd get to do it. The top of the year would bring Axe into the spotlight in more ways than one. Kicking events off with Genesis 6, Axe would slide into the losers bracket surprisingly early thanks to S2J in a close 3-2 set, which would also be the first time S2J had beaten Axe since GTX in 2017. If this was a single elimination event, that would be the end of Axe's story right here, and he would be exiting the tournament in disappointing fashion. But thankfully, Melee tournaments are double elimination brackets. Axe would have a second chance to prove himself, and boy did he turn it up a notch.
People always argue that Pikachu isn't like that good, but yet Axe still stands.
Oh, what was that? Was that a...
Was it nil? No impact land?
I think.
It looks very weird.
Oh my god, that was insane.
Whatever.
Yep. Ah, that's gonna do it. Rishi out of the tournament and Axe moving on to fight Zane. Axe does not give it.
Oh, is that a dagger?
Grab
He's
the
coming
ledge.
back. He's coming back.
Yeah, Pikachu's recovery is too good, but this is a ton of damage. What is Axe gonna get? Back throw.
52%.
Scary
This could
stuff. Forward smashes him off. Good DI from Zane. No! And Axe! He goes on stage, but he says, psych!
Wow.
I gotcha!
To confirm off
Oh,
the jab.
no, that's it. Oh, and he's
What an axe
And
with the
axe.
mini pop up. What an edge guard.
the clutch guy.
No, yo, practical. Please break it down. Well, wow. Oh, okay, axe. Dude, okay. Honestly, Ginger got the slide off on the top platform there, but Axe still followed it up. Gets the full combo to close out that set. This. Yeah, that'll do it. And Axe takes it over PPU 3-1.
Oh my goodness gracious, they're both at 69%, and they're both loving it.
He's now in the lead.
That's a raw smash kill off the top at 109. He went up into the ceiling
Axe
to
is
try to
laughing.
get an extra percent to knock himself into 69
I see.
for the meme. Oh, I thought
And
a
misses
smash
moves, but
attack
he's
was
still gonna
coming.
win, I think.
That's the...
Oh!
Okay. Oh yeah, that he. I've seen him hit that so many times on Mewtwo King when they play the back throw. It actually does combo in a downer, which is insanity. And that is going to be game 4. We're going to another game 5. Yes, he gets him on the way down. He hunts Axe going to the ledge where he's the most comfortable.
Ooh, double jump!
This is bad. And Plum double jumping between stocks.
Axe going on to 10 finals to face Hungry Box.
Axe would win his next 7 sets, almost all of which went to Game 5, to make an incredible losers bracket run only to finally be eliminated by Hungrybox. On this route, Axe had to beat Kalamazoo, Rishi, Zane, Ginger, Pew Pew, Amsa, and Plup, all players who ranged from at least the top 40 in 2018's MPGR to players who could make an argument to win the entire event. Though Axe didn't quite make it to his first major win here, we got a glimpse of what the Pikachu had to offer in 2019. Axe was here, he was present, and he still had plenty of gas left in the tank. About half a year would go by before we saw the Canadian Super Major get on my level 2019. Here, like Genesis, Axe would be knocked into the losers bracket relatively early following a 0-3 sweep against Swedish Delight. With another solid run, Axe could maybe pull off a 5th or 7th place that he had become so accustomed to. But no, Axe would find himself in Grand Finals again after defeating Westballs, Mateo, S2J, Zane, SFAT, Wizrobe, and Leffen. There, he would face a familiar opponent in Mango, one of the remaining 5 gods, and a player whom Axe had not beaten in a best-of-5 set since Smash Rivalries in 2017. Surely this would be where he breaks through the wall.
Hey guys, I'm here after Get On My Level 2019 Melee Top 8 with the second placer, Tempo Storm's Axe, who has had an absolutely monstrous run. We'll get into that later, but Axe, I just want to know, how are you feeling after that run?
I had so much fun, man. Like, I don't know, after that, it's just great. Like, it's not as, it could be better if I got first, you know, that's what I'm aiming for next time, but I had a great time, and I feel good, and I'm ready to just keep climbing up.
In what felt like a broken record, his shot at first place was silenced by Mango. Seeing Axe in Grand Finals for a second time was good enough proof that his first run at Genesis was no fluke, but damn, it had to hurt. With a second place finish at 2 out of 3 major tournaments for 2019, Axe was so close. He could taste victory, but even now, even after he had reached a new level of play, he was still just one step behind.
When it comes to big tournaments, I don't win first place that much.
Maybe Axe wasn't meant to win, after all. Going back to the beginning of this video, June 13th would kick off the 8th iteration of the Invitational Tournament Series Smash Summit. The series felt like a more laid-back type of event, taking place at the Beyond the Summit house in LA rather than a more official venue. This was intended to give fans a more behind-the-scenes feeling, and the ambiance of the tournament was inspired by Take TV's Home Story Cup of StarCraft 2. For the Melee variant of this event, a select number of players would attend either by virtue of an invitation from the BTS team, wildcard slots given to the top finishers at specific qualifier events, or player-driven campaigns with a fan vote-in process. Axe would be one of the 8 players invited due to his high overall ranking, and he would be divided into Pool B, where he'd finish with an overall record of 2 wins and 1 loss, beating Moki and S2J and losing to Leffen. The pools matches would simply increase or decrease players' overall seed in the main bracket, and with his positive record, Axe would be placed in the winner's side of bracket with a bye, so he would first face off against Zane. Unlike Genesis or Gommel though, Axe would make it to grand finals from the winner's side this time, having beaten Zane, Manga, Wizrobe, and Leffen, and Wizrobe would end up returning to grand finals from the loser's side. The two of these players even sitting here together in the first place was already a first in Summit history, as the series had never seen a Captain Falcon or a Pikachu competing for first and second place. As the two plug into play, Axe appears to clear his mind of all nerves. He's focused, this is his time.
Might be time.
It's all come down to this moment. Grand finals.
At Smash Summit 8.
The Falcon and the Mouse.
Axe and winners against Wizzy and losers. Here we go.
Made it back.
And it's got the range.
Yeah.
Oh, it's tense.
This is very tense. Wizzy looking very stationary there. He doesn't want to get in.
Very close. It's like a couple more.
Oh,
nice.
my
What an up air! That's such a good up air!
Wizzy's fighting his heart out. This is
Oh, man.
Solid 3-stock.
Tech chase position.
Dash hands on him.
Great dash dancing.
Ooh, I would see it back there.
He's a really good air dodge.
Yeah. It's always annoying when your nair goes the wrong way you want it to.
He was living too.
You're so
crazy.
Oh, nair?
Oh my gosh. The next grab, Neil will do it, but can he get it?
Oh
my god.
He's off stage.
Back airs. He tried to do the get up his
Down
back, down throw knee, not gonna be able to do it, down throw knee.
Nice.
Wizzy has reset the bracket.
Second set.
And Wizzy wins 3-1. But he came from loser's side, and this meant something because he would need to win 2 straight sets in order to steal first place from Axe. So this wasn't the end, just a bracket reset. With a set of buffer, Axe had another chance to take the title and still win his first major. But after losing the first set, it felt like things were slowly slipping out of his control. The doubt he spent the beginning of the set casting out began to sneak its way back. Maybe things would be the same as Genesis and Gommel. Maybe he'd fall just short of the finish line. And maybe he never deserved a first place victory to begin with. The commentators discussed the possibility of Axe switching to Falco, but Axe was going to do this his own way.
Alright, here's a question.
That's crazy.
I want to put to you guys. One of Axe's best secondaries is a Falco. And given the fact that he's this close to clinching a major win, is there any chance, especially on a counter pick, that he would pull it out?
With the fresh mindset, Axe would go into the next set as sharp as ever, winning the first 2 games of the set and threatening to end the tournament with one last win. The wall between his Pikachu and victory was just a single game, but Wizrobe barely sneaks out the win on their last stock of Game 3. But the good thing about Axe being up 2-0 in the set though is that he gets to counterpick to Final Destination. Like that faithful game versus J-Man, Axe and Wizzy ride a seesaw of stock exchanges, leaving Axe up 2 stocks but at high percent to Wizzy's 1. In truth, all Axe really needed at this point was a grab or an up air to spell the beginning of the end. 8 seconds after Wizrobe falls from the respawn platform, Axe finds the opening. Now, a moment in history.
Oh, what a sneaky up air!
That's damage.
There it is!
He's gonna dead grab!
Here we go!
Throw!
This is why
What's he gonna get here? Up smash, Thunder, 85, he's off stage! Axe is your Smash Summit 8 champion!
Axe did it!
He's done it!
A Pikachu has won a major Smash Summit 8!
Oh my.
After a year of second place victories and almost year for Axe, he does it!
Years and years of being on the verge.
He did it!
He is now the champion. Congratulations to Tempo Axe, the Smash Summit 8 champion.
He finally did it. Axe jumps out of his seat in a display of sheer happiness, knowing that this was a long time coming, but it didn't take a long time for this accomplishment to finally hit him. Axe sat back down and reflected on the last 10 years of his Melee career, all leading up to this moment. He was forever known as the guy who almost made it. From the day he started playing Melee, everyone knew he was meant to be great, but no one knew or even believed he'd make it to the very top. Easily a top 10 player from 2014 and on, but never quite able to stand above the upper echelon. This tournament changed everything. It was his first ever major win in his over 10-year career, as well as the first ever major won by a Pikachu player in Melee's history. The final domino had fallen. As Axe sits, a familiar face enters the room. It's Vectorman, his high school friend from all those years ago. He hugs Axe and gives him confirmation that this was the culmination of Axe's decade-long efforts. While the casters watch, Ty, another longtime Arizona friend, comes onto the mic full of emotion. Choking back tears we as viewers can only hear, "He's wanted this for so long." Critics may say that this was just a fluke or that Axe's bracket was easy, but Axe couldn't control who was sitting next to him from round to round. He could only give it his best effort, just like he did at Genesis and Gommel, and he did. Whether you believe it or not, Axe finally broke through. He beat everyone who stood in his path. Gods, demigods, up-and-comers, and especially the people who didn't think he'd ever make it big. Axe won for his friends like Vectorman and Ty, for Pikachu, and most importantly, for himself. As he finally makes his way downstairs, Axe sits at the mic to make an expectedly emotional victory speech. Instead, he asks for pizza and questions if he really did just win the entire tournament.
I need some pizza.
Someone give the man a pizza.
Did I really win?
You did.
That's insane.
There's one more match.
What just happened?
There's one more match, actually.
Oh, thank you so much.
You got pizza. You got pizza.
Axe Stop Pizza.
Finally did it. Axe Stop
Dude,
Pizza.
yeah, congratulations, man.
I don't know what to say. I just, I've been working really hard for this, and I don't know. It's just a long time coming. It's just crazy to me.
I think this very tournament is the reason Axe is so likable as both a player and a person, because he is Melee. The debate on whether Smash is a fighting game or a party game will be one that lasts forever across its player base, but maybe Axe just existing is an answer to that question. It's both.
If you're not having fun with the game, you're gonna start just getting really frustrated, getting in your own head and not being able to continue. So, in my opinion, to be successful, at least this is what works for me, you just gotta have a good time with it.
Axe is the epitome of a great competitor who understands that his success is directly linked to his happiness in the game. This was a historic and long-awaited victory, as well as a message to the entire community that anyone can have what it takes to become a champion. And he did it all with Pikachu. Axe showed everyone that he has what it takes. He proved that he could be the best. He shattered the glass ceiling. He is Melee. Axe is a player who has etched himself into Melee's competitive history. He took a largely irrelevant character to most and made a name for himself, all while overcoming the narrative that Pikachu would never be able to go the distance. But honestly, I don't think this story is all that much about Pikachu winning a major. This story, told over the course of 10 years, is about perseverance. Perseverance so strong that it goes above and beyond what should be normal to a normal human being. I really enjoy the show Haikyuu because it depicts the struggles of plateauing in a plain and relatable way through the wall. But Axe may not be the main character in a show like that, and maybe that's the reason he resonates so well with Melee. We're all meant for greatness, it's not just for a select few. And as we let our talents bloom, we unconsciously encourage others to do the same. Axe overcame it all. He faced down the wall and was able to see the other side. He's one of the few that can proudly say that the view from the summit is pretty damn good. I think some people believe that once you reach the summit, once you conquer what was giving you so much struggle for so long, that that's it. That there's nothing more for you to accomplish, and that it's only downhill from here. But that's the thing, once you finally get that view from the summit, you can't help but seek another one, and another, and another. The taste of victory leaves the best competitors wanting more. It's intoxicating.
I guess you could say it wasn't a choice. It was just, he chose me.
Before going to that high school tournament, Axe was just a Walgreens employee with some serious gaming skills. Now he's so much more than that. He's a top-level competitor, he's the best Pikachu player in the world, and he's living proof that hard work eventually breeds success. Axe's journey is timeless. He has one of the most inspiring stories you'll ever find in Melee, and he'll be remembered as a kind, talented, and promising individual with a bold approach to the game we all love.
Well, I'm definitely going to continue going to as many tournaments as I can, because I want to get, like, I'm definitely not going to be done for a very long time. Like, I want to get better as fast as I can.
I don't want this to just be the one, you know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot more after this, so I'm gonna keep going.
Thank you so much for watching this documentary. I hope you enjoyed it, and much gratitude goes to my patrons for making videos like these possible, especially Avishua Stein, Brian Malumphy, and Connor. If you'd like to help support me in making more videos like these possible, please feel free to contribute through the link in the description.
Hey guys, this is Axe. Thanks a lot for watching, and subscribe for more content.
Pika, pika!